So, in case there are any questions after this, the presentation contains a bit of many acronyms, as you've been seeing before from Harvey and Alan, and some abstract information that might not obviously be obvious to most of you. So I'm happy to take any questions, but of course Alan is also here, as well as Harvey, in case anything needs to be clarified. So the diagram here, I happily yanked it from Axel's last presentation at the RIR meeting. I thought it is simple. It shows the placement of the RIR communities and the ASO in the entire ICANN structure and ecosystem. I assume that at this moment, from the previous two speakers, from Alan's presentation and from Harvey's presentation, at least we are all a bit aware of what the ASO is. So I skipped all that part, which I ordinarily would have talked about. So that is the structure. The address supporting organization and the NRO Executive Council are all part under the ASO umbrella, under the ICANN structure. You have the GNSO, SSAC, RSSAC, GAC, ILAC, CCNSO, and the ASO. And behind the ASO are the different RIR communities for the 5 RIRs. Does that diagram show 6 RIRs? No, 5 RIRs. So you are all probably aware of the IANA transition, and that also, there was so much background behind it, which I'm not going to talk about now. Now, after the IANA transition, the ASO is now part of what is called the empowered community. Again, Alan talked about this, what the empowered community is. And because of that, the ASO is expected to be a bit more participative within ICANN, based on what the empowered community is supposed to be doing. And again, because of that, it results into a bit more work that the ASO is required to take part in within the entire ecosystem. So there was a review, which is required by the ICANN bylaws every 5 years of the ASO. So this is part of the ICANN bylaws. It's a legislative requirement. Every 5 years there has to be a review of the ASO, and this review was started in 2017, completed in 2017 by an independent entity called Items. And I believe a gentleman from Items came twice to our meetings to talk to us. Some of you know him. I think at the time it was called Tim McGuinness. He was once a policy co-chair, I believe. So, but individuals aside, the entity called Items conducted this review as required by the ICANN bylaws. And at AFRINIC 27, which was one of our meetings in December 2017, the review was presented to the community members present. In 2018 February, the NROEC, which I believe Alan has told you what it is, and the ASOAC, who are supposed to be doing this presentation, issued a joint response to the ASO review recommendations from the review conducted by Items. Now, Items made 18 recommendations, which were touching mainly on the purpose of the ASO, the organizational and operational effectiveness of the ASO, as well as accountability and transparency. The joint response agreed to proceed with many of those 18 recommendations. Recommendation 18 in particular, again as mentioned before, stated that the NRO should initiate a public consultation involving the 5 RIR communities to determine the future structure of the ASO. That was recommendation 18 in particular. Why? Because the ASO is one of the bodies that makes up the new ICANN-empowered community structure, and fulfilling this role requires a significant amount of time and administrative work on behalf required of the ASO. It is possible that the communities may feel that this effort is a bit disproportionate to the level of practical engagement between the ASO and ICANN. So this was the main premise behind why this review is being done, why this consultation is being done. So a few of the approaches that items identified, I have gotten this slide summarized nicely by Axel from writing one of his presentations. So I hope I don't have to pause and copyright it. So there were 3 options to maintain status quo on 4 sections: the ICANN bylaws, the current memorandum of understanding between ICANN and the ASO, then the ASO/AC rules of procedure, which is a public document on the ASO website, and the ASO website. So option 1 was to maintain status quo, leave everything as is. Option 2, increased coordination, leave ICANN bylaws as is, leave the ASO/MU as is, but on the ASO/AC rules of procedure, formalize a joint annual meeting as needed. Then on the ASO website, more information on roles and scope of action of the NRO/EC. Option 3, adoption of a 2-house ASO/AC council. The comments are there as is. Bylaws to state that the ASO shall have an ASO council with 2 houses, a policy house, which is currently the ASO/AC, and a registries house, so a registries council. 2, on the MOU, update to include more details on the scope for action for the NRO/EC under the Registries Council or proposed Registries Council. On the ASO/AC rules of procedure, the rules of procedure to be renamed ASO rules of procedure, skipping out the AC. On the ASO website to include a record of all activities of the NRO/EC in connection with the ASO, which I believe is missing now. So those are the 3 options on those 4 items, as identified by items the consultancy that was hired to do the review. So with that background and against that backdrop, and in accordance with recommendation 18, the ASO decided to conduct community feedback on most of those issues. So following the review consultation and the presentation by the CEO at one of our meetings in 2018 in Dakar, the reps were tasked with leading a community effort to find our community's official response to this review. So in particular, what is the community expected to give feedback about? Okay. Number 1, any adjustments to be made to address the issues of confusion about roles of the ASO/AC and the perceived increased workload. Number 2, should adjustments, as mentioned before, be limited to ASO-related documents and agreements, such as the MOUs and bylaws? 3, over what timelines should these adjustments be developed and implemented? 4, what strategic aspects should be paid attention to when considering these adjustments? So these are all guiding questions and guiding pointers on the kind of feedback that is needed from the community. So the scope of the consultation could also cover the following items: updates and adjustments to ASO-related documents, procedural clarifications and adjustments, related confusion of roles between the ASO and the NRO and their components, perceived complexity of the relationship among the NRO, the ASO, and ICANN, relevance and cost to the RIRs of various ICANN engagement activities. Now, there is a process called the Global Policy Development Process, which I believe has also been mentioned in one of the previous presentations. And that process and the role of the AC in particular is outside the scope of this consultation. However, I do believe that nothing stops the community from giving feedback about it, but it is out of scope. So, just to share with you the feedback that has been received before when we attempted to ask these questions in the community, summarized into 3 items. Number 1, some people in the community felt that the NAMBA community should continue to participate within ICANN in order to promote its viewpoints and agendas. 2, scope creep could be guarded against. Scope should not be widened unless necessary. Again, I guess this is to do with the workload expected or perceived to be increasing. 3, the AFRINIC NRO NC representatives should engage with the community to determine a way forward, which is what we are doing on their behalf. So, just to share with you what other communities decided or the feedback from other communities in their consultation efforts on this same matter. Again, I picked this from Axel's presentation, the next 3 slides. AFRINIC. I'm actually curious whether we all know what AFRINIC is, even before moving forward. Does anybody here not know what AFRINIC is? I will happily explain it. Put your hand up. Not you, Muku. Not you, Brice. Not you. Actually, fellows only, newcomers. Where are they? Fellows. Where are the fellows? I need to ask them. Yes. What is AFRINIC? The one in the green jacket. What is AFRINIC? Quickly come to the microphone in 30 seconds. Quickly. 10 seconds. What is AFRINIC?
AFRINIC is the AFRINIC for Asia Pacific.
That guy should have won the iPad. So yes, so we're clear. Those dealing with the newcomers and fellows, you did a fantastic job. So thank you. So moving along, feedback from AFRINIC. AFRINIC decided not to support the status quo and established a working group to further examine the relationship. A working group has developed some initial proposal around a 2-house or 2-constituent or 2-committee ASO. I guess there's the registries ASO and the policies committee or something like that. If I remember correctly, the registries and policies committees. I will need to double check. And it's helpful for the NAMBA community to have access to the global community through ICANN, such as the GAC and other communities. And the NAMBA resources community is responsible, needs to decline other requests from ICANN out of their normal scope. Erin. Feedback from Erin. The relationships with ICANN should be simplified and remain focused on NAMBA resource matters. The NRO AC and NRO NC stroke SOAC need to be diligent in declining invitations that lie outside this scope, which is shared with what AFRINIC gave us feedback. The use of 2 names, NRO and ASO, is confusing. The NAMBA community should engage with ICANN as the NRO, with the NRO NC continuing to handle global policy development and ICANN board election matters. More significant changes to the NAMBA community stroke ICANN relationship should be deferred for a future review cycle. So this is a summary of what came out of the consultation in the ARIN region. I won't ask the newcomers what the RN region is. I think they know it. LACNIC. Feedback from LACNIC. Roles need to be better clarified. I believe this is a shared concern. The community has asked for more detailed information in order to provide ideas and suggestions. There is a group of moderators made up of 2 SOAC members and 1 LACNIC board member. Regional discussions are happening on that mailing list. So as you can see, all the RIRs are actually actively seeking feedback within their communities on this issue. And a few weeks back, we launched a survey where the SOAC representatives initiated a survey. And through this survey, the AFRINIC community is urged to send their comments by participating in the survey. It's a very short and quick survey. I will share the questions with you in the next slides. It's a very few, I think there are 4 or 5 questions. And the survey is titled AFRINIC Community Views on the Future of the ASO. And it is that link. Sorry, couldn't make it shorter, but I think it's short enough to memorize, or you can copy and paste, you can pick it from the presentation slides, or we can also share it again actually as an announcement, as a reminder on various community lists. What are the questions in the survey? The first question is, should the RIRs continue to work with ICANN in ratifying global policies relating to internet number resources? That is the first question in the survey. It's a simple yes or no. 2, should the RIRs continue to be involved in appointing ICANN board directors? Simple yes or no. 3, should the RIRs continue to be involved in the ICANN empowered community? That's the third question. Fourth question, which is a multiple choice question. You only choose one. Should the RIRs be involved in other ICANN committees and processes? No, or as little as possible, or only if it's related to high-level governance and not if it's focused on domain names. Or yes, whenever we are invited. Last 2 questions. Do you have a suggestion for reducing the confusion between the ASO, ASOAC, NRO, NRONC, and NROEC? And there's a nice little text area for you to put in all your suggestions. Okay? Last question is, do you reside in the AFRINIC region? I believe the representatives wanted to know whether the people answering the questions are actually here or outside, just to guide them in there, to give them some context of what people think. And useful information, there has been some background information on various announcements and presentations and calls for comments at that URL. There was already an ASO review report at that URL, and questions from the NROEC. The NROEC is made up of the 5 CEOs of the various 5 RIRs. Sorry, many acronyms. So that's what the NROEC is, as Alan mentioned earlier, and that was also the questions which they posed at that URL. So, thank you for listening to this rather confusing presentation. I hope you took something out of it. And I'm happy to take any questions. Myself, Alan, and Harvey can answer any questions on your behalf. Those we can't answer, we shall note them down and pass them over to the NC representatives who are not here, but who I suspect are listening in anyway. Thank you so much. So please, that survey is very important. I'll just load up sorry. The survey is very important. I think, what's his name? Can you please load that survey link again in the yeah. So that is the survey. We urge you to participate in that survey. And I think we should make an effort to announce it again on the various lists. We were asked to run the survey, I think, until somewhere in January. So after January, we'll be collecting the feedback from this survey, and the ASO representatives will perhaps advise what to do with it. Thank you. I see a question or clarification from Pablo from AFRINIC. So Pablo, please go ahead.
Yeah, hello everyone. I think it is a very important process in the sense of determining the future relationship between the RIRs and ICANN. And it has been more than a year since the report was issued, and even though there has been agreement in most of the recommendations from the report, we, the RIRs, still haven't engaged with ICANN about implementing those recommendations, which should be something that it is timely, if not about the time to do. And this obviously requires community support in terms of how we're going to shape up this relationship. So this survey is important, but wonder if there could be some other insights from the AFRINIC community in order to inform engagements that should probably happen by the time of the Kobe meeting early next year, February, March.
Well, thank you, Pablo. Yes. We wish there could be more insights and feedback from the community, but I believe the various attempts that have been made did not yield much feedback. And I think the ASO representatives, as well as Alan, thought that the survey might be a bit more efficient, at least in getting people to give feedback in a more direct way. Yes, if we identify just a few issues, give it out to them, and they give some feedback quickly, maybe that would be more efficient. Did you have any other question before Alan?
Well, we had a similar survey, and it is fantastic that you are having this one. I would be very interested to have a preview of the results of the survey, probably as earlier as possible, perhaps before the end of January. So as you can share those results, that would be fantastic for the other RIRs to be able to start implementing steps towards implementing the recommendations of the ASO review.
Okay. All right. Noted. Thank you, Pablo. Alan, go ahead.
Thanks. This is Alan Barrett. About the date of the survey, it was announced on the 21st of November. It's currently about the 4th or 5th item on the news page on the AFRINIC website, so you can go there to find information about the survey. It's open until the 16th of December. And the existence of the survey should not stop you from making comments right here. One of the reasons we're holding this session is so that we can hear the views of the AFRINIC community on how the ASO should work within the ICANN structure.
All right, I don't see anybody walking to the microphone. I think we should have put also something to be worn on that survey. Maybe we should put another cheaper iPad or something like that, so so that people can. That no Moko. I think there should be some motivation for participating. But anyway. Thank you so much, and yes, we'll try again to announce that survey on the various lists. Hopefully we can get more feedback. Thank you. Next up is the Governance Committee report by Wafa. Wafa, over to you. Thank you.